When should you pay taxes on a Roth conversion? Quarterly or all at once in April? And with Medicare cost rising and Social Security COLA shrinking, how do you plan ahead for 2026 and beyond? If you're retired or getting close, you're going to want to hear this today on the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show.
It's the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show.
Howdy neighbor, I'm Michael Andrews with Andrews Insurance and Advisory, and you're listening to the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show, where every week we tackle real questions about retirement, Medicare, and Social Security, so you can head into retirement with a lot more confidence and a whole lot less stress. So today we have got two listener questions lined up, and they're both about something I talk to folks about all the time and how to plan ahead. Mike wants to know if he needs to pay taxes quarterly when doing Roth conversions or if he can wait until tax time. And Julie's wondering what the outlook is for 2026, specifically whether Medicare costs will rise and if COLA increases are even going to keep it up. So let's dive right in. All right, first up this week is a question from Mike, who writes in and says, I'm 66 years old and planning to start doing some Roth conversions to cut down on required minimum distributions later in life. My question is about the taxes. If I do these conversions throughout the year, can I just pay the taxes when I file at the end of the year, or do I need to pay quarterly to avoid underpayment penalties? Great question, Mike. Thanks for sending that in. Roth conversions are one of the best long-term tools in retirement planning, especially if you do them correctly. So let's try to break this down. The IRS has a rule called the Safe Harbor Rule, and it's what protects you from getting hit with a penalty for underpaying your taxes throughout the year. There are two versions of this rule depending on how much income you have. Version number one is if your adjusted gross income is under $150,000, then you need to pay in 100% of last year's tax liability to be safe. And the other one is if your income is over $150,000, you need to pay in 110% of last year's tax liability. As long as you hit that number through withholding or quarterly payments, you won't owe a penalty even if you end up owing more in April due to some of your conversions. So technically, you can wait and pay the tax bill all at once in April as long as you've already paid in that safe harbor amount along the way. And here's a tip that a lot of folks don't know. If you would rather not make quarterly estimated payments, you can wait until later in the year and take a withdrawal from your IRA with the taxes withheld. Because IRA withholdings are treated as if it was paid evenly throughout the year. Even if it happens in December, it's one of the IRS's quirks that actually works in your favor. Now, let's talk about strategy. Mike didn't say whether he's drawing Social Security yet, but let's assume that he's just now hitting full retirement age at 67. One smart way to fund your conversion is to start your Social Security and then use that income to help cover the taxes on your Roth conversions. So for example, if your Social Security check is $2,500 a month, that gives you $30,000 a year that you could set aside for paying the tax bill on your conversions. That way you're not draining your savings or scrambling to come up with the cash out of pocket. Now, this is not a perfect fit for everyone, but if you were planning to take Social Security soon anyway, and you're trying to do conversions before RMDs kick in, this could be a really tax-smart way to make it happen. And here's one more strategy that often gets overlooked is do your conversion when the market drops. So let's say your IRA takes a 10 to 15% dip during the year. If you convert during that downturn, you're paying taxes on a smaller dollar amount, but when the market rebounds, and history says that it usually does, you've now got those recovered gains growing tax-free inside of that Roth. So you're effectively locking in future tax-free growth on a temporary discount. Now remember, historically the market goes up about 75% of the time. So buying low and converting low can give you a powerful edge if you're in this for the long haul. Bottom line, Roth conversions are one of the most powerful tax strategies out there, but only if they're done with intention. So that means knowing the safe harbor rules, timing your payments smartly, considering how you'll fund the taxes, and keeping an eye on the market. This is exactly the kind of thing that people need to pay attention to because no one wants to pay more in taxes than they have to, and you sure don't want to get blindsided by penalties either. All right, on to our next question. This one is from Julie. She texted in and said, Hey Michael, I'm wondering what the outlook is for 2026. Will they raise the Medicare expense? Are we only going to get 2.5% increase? Things like that. I'm just looking for a couple different viewpoints. Julie, this is a great question, and it's on a lot of people's mind right now. We're coming off a couple high inflation years, but now it feels like things are starting to cool off, and folks are wondering, is my Social Security still going to keep up with rising costs, especially the healthcare? So let's take a look at this one piece at a time. First off, let's tackle Medicare. The Part B premium, which is what most folks pay every month for their Medicare coverage, is currently $185 a month for 2025. As of now, they haven't officially announced what the 2026 number will be, but based on several early forecasts, there is a strong chance that it could land somewhere around $206 a month. If that happens, that is a $21 increase per month, or about $250 more per year just for your Part B alone. And remember, that doesn't include your drug plan, your deductible, or anything else out of pocket. Now let's look at the other side of the coin, your Social Security check. Both the Social Security Board of Trustees and the Senior Citizens League are forecasting a 2.7% cost of living adjustment, or COLA, for 2026. So that's not too bad on the surface, but here's the problem. If your Medicare premium jumps up $20 a month and your Social Security check goes up by 2.7%, it's very possible that most or even all of that increase gets eaten up by the healthcare cost. So it's an increase on paper, but you may not actually feel it in real life. This is exactly why planning matters. Medicare costs are expected to keep climbing, even if inflation slows down. And Social Security COLAs, which are based on very specific inflation indexes, well, they don't always keep up with the real cost of healthcare. So what do? First, build wiggle room into your retirement budget. If the COLA comes in at 2.7%, don't plan on seeing all of that in your pocket. Assume Medicare will take a bite out of it. Second, be proactive during Medicare's annual enrollment period. Don't just let your coverage roll over. Look at your drug plan, check your network, see if there's a better fit for your situation next year. And third, keep an eye on IRMAA. That's the income-related surcharge that can push your Medicare premium even higher if your income crosses certain thresholds. If you're doing Roth conversions, selling property, or taking large withdrawals from your retirement accounts, you could unknowingly trigger a surcharge. These are the kind of things that get missed if you're only thinking 1 year at a time, but if you're planning ahead, asking the right questions, and adjusting where you can, you'll be in much better shape for whatever 2026 throws your way. So just to recap today's episode, Mike asked whether he needs to pay taxes quarterly when doing Roth conversions or if he can wait and settle up at the end of the year. We talked about the IRS safe harbor rules, why planning your tax strategy throughout the year matters, and a few smart ways to fund conversions without creating such a huge cash crunch. Then Julie asked about the outlook for 2026, specifically whether Medicare expenses are going to rise and if the projected COLA will actually keep up. We looked at where Part B premiums might be heading, the 2.7% COLA forecast, and how retirees can prepare for the gap between what they get and what things cost. So if you've got a question you'd like for me to tackle on the show, shoot me an email at michael@andrewsadv.com. I read every single one of them, and I just might answer yours on a future episode. Now, let me ask you one thing. Do you want a second opinion on your retirement? If you do, it doesn't cost anything for me to look, but not letting me, well, that could cost you thousands. So if you're ready to take this relationship to the next level, you can call or text me at 918-842-7379 or head over to andrewsadv.com and click on my calendar to schedule a phone call that works for you. And don't forget, the full replay of today's episode drops every Tuesday evening on the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show Facebook page and YouTube channel. Give it a like, leave a comment, and share it with a friend who could use some good neighborly retirement advice. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you all next week right here on the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show. Thanks.
It's the Howdy Neighbor Retirement Show, helping you plan so your money will grow. No need to worry, we'll make it clear. Medicare and retirement right here.